Pastor Keon. So Pastor Keon is Shaquille O'Neal's new husband. Pastor Keon Henderson has been leading the Lighthouse Church Ministries and Church here in Houston, Texas. He's been leading, he says 15 years, but I could see that with respect to the property they're at now, they've owned it since at least 2019. I'm going to play a clip for you that recently went viral that gives his take and his view on how we should help the poor.
Multiplication. Here's the other problem with the church is that anytime a person is in need, y'all go to running and dropping money. But let me tell you something, the poor will be with you always. And there is no blessing connected to blessing the poor other than getting back what you gave to them, but no multiplication. Multiplication is segregated for tithes and offering. When you give to the poor, the only thing you do is help them, but you don't help yourself. So when you give $1 to somebody on the street talking about I did my job, God like, thank you, but it ain't gonna help you. Bible. Charity does not bring wealth. What? Only the tithe does that.
Wait. You heard somebody in the congregation who's video and say, what? He says, charity does not bring wealth. Only the tithe does. In other words,
matter of fact, you don't believe me? Guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna preach on it.
This is not preach. This is trash. In other words, what he's saying is you helping the poor, it's not going to bring you any good fortune with the Lord, but you giving him your 10%, your 20%, what you have or what you don't have, you're giving it to him. That's what's going to bless you. I wanted to say N-word, F-word, U-word, but I'm not going to say those words. As Jesus' favorite sinner, I am going to be above reproach here, okay? So I'm going to handle this story above reproach as the kind Gentile woman that I am, okay? We're just going to hear this excerpt one more time. He says, giving to the poor isn't going to give you any favor with the Lord. But tithing, giving it, putting it in his pocket.
Multiplication. Here's the other problem with the church is that anytime a person is in need, y'all go to running and dropping money. But let me tell you something, the poor will be with you always. And there is no blessing connected to blessing the poor other than getting back what you gave to them, but no multiplication. Multiplication is segregated for tithes and offering. When you give to the poor, the only thing you do is help them, but you don't help yourself.
First of all, let's define poor because Pastor Keon, based on the background check I ran on you, you might be one of them. First of all, you don't currently own any assets. The church is owned by the nonprofit. You don't own a home anywhere, but you're living in Shawnees. So that's one thing. So let's just define the poor. Now, you are preaching in a $1,400 blouse, okay? Beautiful blouse. I think that vest is kind of doing too much, but you've got that blouse on, right? And you're preaching in this $1,400 blouse, right? Where you just a few weeks ago asked members of your congregation to provide you with, there we go, to provide you with $2,100. You wanted $2,100 from 21 people. We're going to play that clip. We're going to play that clip next. This is really, really important. Oh, wait. Somebody said, child, who divorces Shaq? Now, I'll tell you this. She was probably very right in getting rid of Shaq. I'll say this. I'm a nobody. And I knew like 5 of Shaq's mistresses, okay? He used to date a girl who looked just like me. He was like my size and went to college, which disgusted me because in college, I was 100 pounds, okay? I'm 5'4" and 3/4. So I like to say I'm 5'5", but I'm really not. I'm 5'4". She was a little bitty thing. She was 100 pounds, and I was disgusted by it. The other thing is he had girls in Houston. He had girls in Miami. Like I said, I know 4 of his mistresses back then, or knew of 4 of his mistresses. So if I knew of 4, I think Shawnee probably knew of 40, and she probably just got sick of the disrespect. Back then, he was actually quite generous. I knew of a girl who had a townhouse, allegedly, according to her. So I just say this, and then according to Superhead, his Peter Weeder is the size of a shrimp, and not a prawn, but a shrimp. So when you combine all of those things together, I don't blame Shawnee. I would skedaddle too. You're going to cheat on me with your little shrimp dick, and then I've got to be concerned that you're going to give me AIDS. There's no amount of money in this world that's going to make me pay for AIDS, because while Magic Johnson was able to pay away the AIDS, I don't believe that as Jesus' favorite sinner, I have quite the same luck. Now, back to the program and the issue at hand. Here is a clip right after the storm where Pastor Keon is seeking assistance for the church, allegedly.
I'm asking 2,100 people to give $2,100 in the next 21 days.
Greetings, y'all, and welcome to Seek Things Above TV.
Hold on. Yes. So allegedly he's asking,
damaged, and
he's asking for that money because these are the damages that the church suffered after one of the Houston storms. Here we go. Let me show you. And then this is deplorable. Like it's horrible. It's gone through this, but we're going to break down. So in the gist of what he's saying is, in the midst of this, he says, this is what we went through, but I want to rebuild. I don't just want to rebuild the church. I want to build the church better and brighter and bigger than it ever was before. Because even when we did have the church, they had the church and they had 3 other locations, satellite locations. He said it still wasn't big enough for the amount of ministry that he wanted to provide everyone. Okay. So these are some of those clips. I don't know. Let's hear some more of the lies.
Thank you for using your hard-earned time and resources to call me your online pastor. Some of you I've never met, but I feel like I know you in my heart. And because you've helped us to get here, I'm going to call on you to help us to get there. I need you to help us in rebuilding. You know, we were getting ready to do this in October anyway, and those of you all who've watched me, you've heard me say that it was time for us to expand our sanctuary.
Hold on. He says, we were getting ready to do this in November anyway. Keep listening.
We were turning 600 to 700 people away every week. The parking was abysmal, but we made it. I told our church that we were going to start over. And yet again, I believe God said, Keon, your faith was too small. So let me blow the building down so you can build what I put in your heart. I want to increase the size of our sanctuary by 2. I want to double the size of it so that no one who has an opportunity to get in is turned away because we don't have a seat. We can't wait on the insurance company to do that.
He said, we can't wait on the insurance company to do that. See, jurors, hey guys, if you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button. I call those of you who have subscribed to jury. I've looked at these comments, jurors all through. Y'all don't have insurance. Y'all don't have insurance. Listen, I am a Texas attorney who is an attorney that gets to the insurance policies. This is a bold-faced lie. We can't wait on the insurance company to do it. Let me tell you something. Insurance moves faster than FEMA in times, okay? He could have had that insurance check in less than 30 days and probably did, because I'm going to do that breakdown. So, yes, you guys who are saying insurance, you are absolutely freaking right.
I need you from around the world. If I've ever preached a message that has touched your spirit.
I'm not touched.
If I've ever spoken into your life and you started the company that you were not going to start had I not pushed you in faith.
You didn't push me.
If you were thinking about ending your own life, but somehow God gave me a word that made you fight.
Not me.
To live another day.
I'm glad everybody else is still here.
I need you. I won't pretend like I can do.
He wants your $2,100. He saved your life. Give him $2,100. That's what he's talking about. Whether you have it or not, he wants you to give it to him.
This by myself. If I could do this alone, trust me, it would be done already. But I am a feeble man who puts himself at the mercy of the court and asks you to join me
Let us know if you're touched. If you're touched in the chat, tell me to say, oh, he touched me.
in a journey, because we do not have time to waste.
You have the time. Let me tell you why. You know, I mean, you get 30 more seconds of lies.
We cannot
Then I'm
build
going off.
and we cannot raise money for 3 years and then build another 2 years and have all of these people displaced.
You're lying.
God gave me a vision and he said we can do it in 21 days. I'm asking 2,100
Stop lying on my
people
Jesus.
to give $2,100 in the next 21 days. And what we're calling it is out of the harbor. You see, a ship is safe in the harbor, but that's not what it was designed for. And right now, our ship is in the harbor, but you're going to help me through focus and resources to come sailing out of the harbor.
Okay, shut up. Okay, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up. Stop lying on my Lord Jesus Christ and Savior. We're just going to jump into it. Here we are. All right, let me see. Which one of these is we? I'm just shut up. Zip it. I'm sick of this. Sick of this shit. All right, so we're going to start with this. This is the deed for the church. I understand that it's kind of small. I'm going to kind of break it down for you guys. I'm going to break it down for you and make a little adjustment. Maybe that'll be it. All right, this is the deed for the church. And with the deed for the church, one of the first things I want to bring your attention to, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, because I love my jury. Thank you guys. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. If you have not hit the like button, is what we're going to get to is number one. This is the main location of the church. Okay. It is here. Bop, bop, bop. All right. We got it. Damn, damn, damn. Then we're going to go on. There is a mortgage. There is a note. He paid $5.4 million for the church at Plain State Bank. So he went to an actual bank, $5.4 million in 2019. I want you to pay attention to that. Also, look at paragraph 6 at the bottom. I know it's kind of small, guys. Let's see here. Insurance requirements. Grantors will keep the premises insured against hazards and in such companies, forms, and amounts as may be required by the beneficiary, blah, blah, blah. Basically, this is just confirming that they must keep insurance. And if they, for some reason, let the insurance lapse, that the mortgager has a right in number 7 to add insurance to the policy. Let me tell you something a little stupid. Okay, let me tell you something. There's insurance on this place. So really, if anything, he should be asking, hey, help us raise the money for the deductible. That's fair. That's reasonable. We can do that, right? Ashton, thank you so much for the super chat. She said, why would Shani even marry this man? How embarrassing, including a man. Again, he don't own a home right now. But he's in hers. He has owned homes in the past. He had one in Fort Wayne. He has one up where, he was before. He previously had one. He don't have one right now. He up in her house. Okay. He in Shawnee's house. But more importantly, I just want you to see for your own eyes, there is a provision here that mandates insurance. And number 2, that says if insurance has lapsed, the mortgage, or anybody in this chat who has a mortgage, I have multiple mortgages, I have multiple properties. And then one of mine, the mortgage company thought my insurance had lapsed, and they sent me a letter saying, we're going to force place insurance. And whenever they do that, that dollar amount is like twice what you would pay if it was your own. So there is always insurance on a mortgage property. Again, $5.4 million is what they got the mortgage for 5 years ago in 2019. We're going to go to what they owe today. Here. This was January. Now, this is the promissory note. Okay. This is the promissory note. I'm going to zoom into what you care about because it's a lot going on. But here, this reiterates the promissory note. This is literally the promise to pay and what those terms are. The interest rate, got a good little interest rate, y'all. On number 4, the interest rate is basically, it's never going to be lower than 5.75, and it'll never be more than 6.25. I was like, okay, that's cool. But number 2, 5 years later, acknowledge the outstanding balance 5 years later, and they owe $5.3 million. So it's $5 million plus there's a remaining $370K will be dispersed pursuant to a construction loan. Y'all, this means in 5 years, this man ain't paid down near nothing principal, nary nothing on his mortgage. Now, these are documents. I'm going to go to the end so you can see. This is a document from last year, 2023, January. Stay with me. Stay with me. Can you imagine if you had your house for 5 years and didn't knock nothing off your principal? Your spouse, if you have one, will be mad at you. If you don't have a spouse, you would be mad at you. Who does that? Somebody who is not properly managing their money. All right. So now this is the June. This is the most recent promissory note document. All right. Fast forward. We're going to go to the same provision. I just want to know. I was like, all right, what's up? Same thing. Number 2, June of 2023 shows they still owe 5.3. They ain't paid near nothing down on the principal. 5.3 is basically 500,000 plus a 3, right? And then it goes on. Let's see, in this other section, which is payment schedule. So again, paragraph 2 is the acknowledgement of the outstanding balance of 5.3 million. You ain't paid nothing down. I'm not saying he hasn't made a payment. No. He's made a payment. What I'm saying is they haven't paid any principal. In other words, they ain't got no equity, baby. They probably don't have any equity in the property, because to get equity, you got to either pay down the property or it must appreciate. In this economy and in this market, and with that type of property, a church property, it's not going to have the same kind of equity growth as like somebody's house, right? Because you got to wait for someone else to be like, you know what? I want a $5 million church today. I'm going to wake up and buy me a $5 million church out there in Humble, Texas. Says no one, hardly ever. Okay? Hardly ever. Again, so it says here, you go down to 5, payment schedule, the monthly payments are $35,000 a month. $35,000 a month. No one is asking you to give them $2,100 from 2,100 people. But also, the schedule is that basically they have renewed this loan through April of 2028. The gist of it is these people, even at this $35,000 a month through 2028, they are not knocking down any of the principal. Here's what that means. That means these people will have owned this property for 9 years, almost a decade, and they had no equity. Won't have no equity. The point is this. This man's, the funds that he's telling you, I want to rebuild bigger and better. It's unlikely. I'm not going to say it's a bold-faced lie. It may not be a bold-faced lie. It may not be bold-faced, but it is bold. What it does mean is that more than likely, there's 2 reasons in this kind of situations you would want to raise funds. Number 1, you didn't have insurance like you were supposed to have. I do believe he has insurance. And we're going to break down with the insurance what it would actually cover and why you don't need to be bothering these people for this $4 million. So it's either you didn't have the insurance or he's raising the money to pay down his mortgage. There's nothing wrong with that, but you need to be honest with the public. You can want to pay down your mortgage, but you need to be clear. Hey, I ain't paid down this mortgage in 5 years. Also, he probably can't get qualified for a long-term mortgage, which is why he just keeps trying to renew this interest only. This is called an interest only loan. You get interest only loans when you think a property is going to appreciate. You could also get it in a situation where you're like, we're going to grow. We're going to get more what? Ties. We're going to get more ties. And then I'll be able to pay off this building fund. I'll be able to pay off this debt. But it's also financially irresponsible because those 5 years when he had this interest only, those were the years when the interest rates were the cheapest in the history of American interest rates, right? This was 2019, 20, 21, 22, all of that. So in other words, he's asking you to give him $4.4 million so that he can keep mismanaging funds is what this appears. Because with that 4.4, he either wants to pay off the debt that he should have been knocking down the mortgage. But more importantly, his deductible ain't that. His deductible at the very height, this property, as we said, was 5.4 million. Okay, 5.4 million. And the deductible on the high end would be 5%. Now, sometimes you can have a storm deductible. It is highly unlikely. Most places don't have a storm deductible, can be 5% or 10%. It depends on it. But let's say the storm deductible was 10%. That would be $540,000. But this man don't want it. He said, I don't want to use insurance. Nobody cares what you want when you're asking other people for money in a $1,400 blouse. Take off your blouse, sir. Take off your blouse, pastor. Pastor, take off your blouse, okay? Because it on the absolute most ridiculous highest end, more than likely, usually your deductible is 1%, okay? I'm going to say, let's say they told him it was a 5% deductible. A 5% deductible on a $5 million property. And remember, this isn't a tear down, okay? There's stuff inside of it. There's all of that. Now, he's claiming that it was 3 of his properties and it's worth $20 million. Even still, your deductible is not based on how much your stuff is worth. Your deductible is based on the policy. So even then, let's say if even with all of that, he said, oh, it was 20 million and there's depreciation and there's this and there's that. Baby, I'm a lawyer. And in this kind of claim, you'd hire an attorney to help you with your claim, right? To file your claim. And what we do is we coach you through, we help you say, okay, this is how you file everything so that even once you pay your deductible, you get more than enough. My point is, it'd be one thing if he was asking everyone for the deductible, which on the very highest end for that property, which is 5.4 million, on the absolute highest end, if it was a 10% deductible, would be $540,000. That's to rebuild. Now he's saying, I want to build it bigger and better. Here's the problem. A bank won't even give you this. Why? Because if a bank would have gave it to you, you would have got the loan. You wouldn't keep getting this interest-only loan. Interest-only loans are for people who cannot qualify for a loan with better terms. Because with an interest-only loan, you never own the property. So let me give you an example. Interest only is like if it's a fixed and flip, you always get interest only. Why? Because your expectation is that, hey, we're going to sell this property in 6 months. So why should I worry about paying down all this principal? Makes perfect sense. So unless he's planning on selling the church, which he's not. That's not happening here. It's a matter of, it appears to be financial mismanagement, or he's not doing with the funds what he's claiming to do. Because I need somebody in the chat. Help me, y'all. Help me in the chat to understand why you wouldn't just want to pay the deductible and get your church back up running. I am telling you, as an attorney who's done these kind of claims before, that check would have cleared his account in less than 30 days. And when he's like, oh, we don't have time to take 3 years to build a church. First of all, you need to get the church you have, get back going, because you over there at Joel Osteen's church lying on the pulpit, talking about you don't need to help the poor. Go ahead, hit that like, y'all. Let's hit that like. But second of all, just be honest. If you want to raise this money to pay off your mortgage, that's fine. Because what happens is if he wants a larger loan, he has to pay down what he already has. I had a special consultation. I had a consultation with a lender. If you are looking for a lender anywhere in America, I encourage you. I'm going to drop the link below. I'll have that link down there. LNH Lending. Okay, you can go to LNH Lending, which stands for Lockett and Homes. They're based in Texas, but they lend across America. If you want to do fix and flips, if you want to get into industry, now don't come over here if you got some foreclosures and stuff. They will not help you, but they know what they're talking about. And the point is, he's over there. Yep, Biggie Shorty said he is paying his way in the room with former NBA players and wives. Yes, but what that money is not necessary for is rebuilding a church. Because there is insurance deductibles, and insurance deductibles, even with depreciation, because what happens is you articulate how much stuff was worth, right? But your church has only been there for 5 years. Ain't that much depreciation? Everything y'all got is new. I've been up in there. Let me tell you, This is the only church I've ever been to in my entire life that I got up and I walked out of a sermon. I was in that church about a year ago. My father and I, we were there, and it was, I don't know, past the anniversary, something they had going on, more begging. All he do is beg. He was in there begging, and they had a guest pastor take the mic and say, God has touched my spirit, and I feel like stand up if you got $100 to give. I can't stand, I grew up Catholic, so I can't stand when they try to humiliate people who don't have more to give, which I felt like that technique does. So he was like, stand up if you got $100 to give. So multiple people stand up and said, stand up and come down here and bring your $100 down. So it's like, oh, okay. So now I'm a loser if I don't have $100 in my pocket to bring. First of all, I got Cash App, stupid. But even then. So after he said $100, he said, and the spirit told me it's somebody in here with $500 to give. Stand up if you got $500 to give. And people got to clap. He said, it's somebody in here with $1,000. I know it. And he got to looking around. You got $1,000 to give. Come down here. And then he said, and I know it. The Lord has told me it's somebody in here who's going to bless us with $2,500. I stood up. I looked at my dad. I said, get up. Everybody got to clapping. I said, oh, no, I'm going home. Baby, they was clapping to me like I was about to go down there and give them $2,500. I'm not. I'm out of here. I'm scramming. Okay, scram. I'm about to scram. Me and my Jesus got to go. Because this auctioneer style foolishness, I don't want no part of. I got up. I said, Daddy, come on, we going. He said, right now? I said, yes. The devil is in here. And unless you want to be a part of it, you need to come on. Come on, we got to skedaddle. He said, oh, hell. And Daddy got up with me. He was driving anyway, so he had to come. I said, oh, ain't no way. But the gist of this is, I want to know what you think. What do you think this it totals up to 4.4 million. If 2,100 people give this man that, what's interesting is that's basically the mortgage. The mortgage balance was $5 million. And he's trying to get 4.4 million to give on that. I believe it was to pay down that mortgage, and then he could go do whatever he wants to do with it. But just say that. Don't act like the church can't go on without this 4 million, because that's a bold-faced lie. You have insurance, and more than that, the smarter move, get your insurance money, because you already been paying on the insurance, right? You've been paying. Get the insurance money, rebuild, and then if you want to have a building fund, have a building fund, and you can expand. But the thing of it is this, ain't no bank going to give him a traditional loan, which he should have been able to get a traditional loan in the last 5 years. He should have already been able to get that. But no bank is going to give that to you when you're mismanaging funds. So if those financials are not up to snuff, if those financials show that you taking jets and things, taking Shawnee here and there, and that it's not sound, that your expenses are not supportive of the amount of mortgage that you need to pay to do this growth, no one's going to give it to you. And right now, he's asking people to dig into their family funds because ain't nobody trying to give it to him. It says he needs extra money for that helicopter landing pad. Yeah, he better go on $4.4 million tax free. Hit that like button. So again, I'm going to put these documents back up here. So we got the deed. Put it up here big. So we got the deed here. This says clear as day. They got to have insurance. Excuse me. Yep. Paragraph 7, paragraph 6. You got to have insurance. So they're supposed to have insurance. It also shows they paid $5.4 million in the upper paragraphs. But he's bothering people. He wants 4.4 million, okay, to expand. But you don't want to pay a deductible. He ain't talking about, he said, we don't want to wait. We don't want to wait for insurance. Insurance will take less than 30 days, I guarantee you. And then we've got the most recent note here. This says in 5 years, because here's what I want to show you. These are all the modifications of the agreement. It's the October of 2019. He signed everything to get the church. So it says that in paragraph 1, October 20th or 2019. October 20th or 29th of 2019. Then it got extended a year later, November, for 1 year. Again, in 21, 1 year. In 22, it looks like 6 months. Another time in 22, 6 months. Another time in 22, it looks like 6 months there. Hold on. And then fast forwards us to now where he ain't paid no principal. In other words, he's not paying down to own the church. You can't get a building fund loan to expand when you're not paying down what you already have. That's the bottom line. So, Kenny Black said he's about to have those deacons taking people out individually for coffee to discuss time. Oh my God, that's exactly what they do. Okay, that's not how a bank looks at giving a loan. How does the bank look at giving a loan? Banks look at what are your financials, right? So they don't look at just like what you paid on the interest only loan, because they know interest only loan is interest. Up here we go. Maddie says banker here makes complete sense. They need to see concrete financials. They need to see growth. They need to see a variety of things, but they're not going to give you a loan to expand when you haven't paid down the loan you already have that's interest only. So, yeah, Biggie Shorty said, trying to keep up. Yep. Don't be bullied to give money. Yeah. Somebody said, Blaze Brown said he allegedly used money to keep up with wealthy Shaquille O'Neal. That is believable. We have seen that time and time and time. No, let's not forget he moved into her house. Okay. He did have a house. He had a nice house. It wasn't $1 million house, but it was a quite nice house that he had with his wife and so forth beforehand. Purple Rain said, what in the Bishop Greenleaf is going on? Somebody said Bishop Cakes. Oh, he got a big old booty. I don't know. I never looked. Thank you, Maya Crab. My question is then, how come he's not in foreclosure for not making payments on the principal amount? I've covered that. Okay. He has an interest only loan, so he's not required to make principal payments. So I said before, and it's okay. You might be joining a little bit later. I'm not saying he hasn't made payments. I'm saying he hasn't made principal payments. So in 5 years, if you had been making payments that were both interest and principal, you would have cut into this. In its 5 years at $35,000 a month. Somebody do that. I'm gonna do that calculation right now. 5 years. Now, obviously, the majority of the first years is a lot of interest, but he has a great interest rate, 5.5% to 6.5%. Is for a $5.4 million loan is a great rate. 35,000 times 12, okay, times 5 years. That's $2.1 million. Obviously, a lot of that would be going to interest. But if this was a traditional loan, $2.1 million, he would have knocked something up into that, okay? Biggie is saying, I think that maybe what he's trying to avoid is foreclosure. No, he's not at risk at foreclosure. What I'm saying is he's not paying down. He's not creating equity. So that's why he's not able to get a building fund loan right now. You've got to get more. You've got to start paying into the principal, right? When you pay into principal, that's what gets you equity. Or if your property appreciates, that's what gets you equity. So he's just paying the interest. It's just like with your credit card. Think of it with credit card. You know, you get your credit card and they're like, hey, every month, if you make this monthly payment, and then it's like, warning, if you make this monthly payment, it's going to take you 28 years to pay us back $5,000, right? And you're like, well, shit, I don't want to be paying for 28 years to give you $5,000. I'm going to put more on it. That's what we're dealing with here. So yeah, halfway paid off. Yes. So in other words, the bottom line is this 4.4 million is going to pay the mortgage, or if he didn't have insurance, to make up for the fact that his contract said he had to have insurance and he didn't. I believe he likely had insurance, but more importantly, that insurance deductible at its height is like $500,000. So just say that. Ask people for 500. But this other 4.4 million, so you could buy these blouses and whatever else you got going on, is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. So thank you guys for joining us. If you got any other questions below, feel free to drop them. Thank you. Arinkia says the Keon Henderson breakdown makes perfect sense. And let us know what you 4.4 $4 million, baby. There's a lot of things I could do with that. So I hope he goes ahead. I hope their church rebuilds. I know there's people that he ministers to. I don't know them personally, but I'm sure it's somebody. And I hope they go ahead, pay that insurance deductible, get that process going, go ahead and rebuild. And it's probably if you build it, they will come thing. But you got to stop saying dumb things on the internet like, don't give to the poor. It's not going to help you. Just give to me and tithe. Because I'm not buying you no more of them blouses, sir. No more. Thank you guys. Love you. It's your legal bestie, Attorney Simone. Take care.